Hello, you are listening to the OmniTalk Fast 5, brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, Trigo, Sezzle, and Silk. Ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, the OmniTalk Fast 5 is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. Today is January 12th, 2023. I'm your host, Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again to discuss all the headlines making waves, not the kind that are trampling people in California, but the kind that are making waves in the world of omnichannel retailing. Chris, as you'll notice, we also have a new sponsor this week, Chris.
We do, Ann. Yes, Trigo back in the fold, hitting us up for the NRF push here. I love it.
Back in the mix.
Back in the mix.
I know. So we worked with Trigo. We did a lot of work with them last year. We traveled the world checking out their stores.
Been working with them since we went to Tel Aviv in 2019.
That's right.
And saw their initial store setup in their headquarters in person. It was great.
That's right.
But Ann, I got to ask you, how you feeling this morning? You've had kind of a rough week. You've been a little under the weather.
Yeah.
How you feeling? Like, what's your percentage here? Are you 80, 90,
I think
95?
I think I'm turning a corner. Yeah, I had strep. I don't know the last time I had strep. Like childhood.
Licking doorknobs on vacation?
Apparently,
what's going on?
I don't know. Yeah. It was kind of embarrassing, to be honest.
Yeah, it should be. It should be very embarrassing.
But I've got the on the penicillin. I'm getting ready.
Penicillin, right? Yeah, there's
also,
like the antibiotic shortage, right? Penicillin, yeah. Wow. But there's something else that looks different about you today.
Yeah? What's that?
You know what it is? Well, in addition to the hair, of course, which we always comment. You get so many comments on your hair.
I do.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But you were named a top 100 retail influencer again for the second year in a row.
As were you, Chris.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for mentioning that.
But do you feel different?
Oh, I feel so different, Ann. In fact, I think today I want to give an above average show to our listeners. Above average.
Above average.
Yeah.
I think, there's a top 100 retail influencers, and I was joking because there's only a picture of me and both of our names together.
Right.
So we're like 100 and 101 on that list, I think. So we just get like half of us is represented.
And I told you last night, it is a photographic upgrade of me, for sure, by just listing both our names under your picture, 100%.
Oh my God.
Rethink Retail knows what they're doing.
They do. Well, and I'm excited because we're going into NRF. We leave in 2 days. Countdown is on. T-minus 48 hours here.
We are. And we have a banger lineup.
Oh my gosh.
So for everyone listening, we are live streaming from SES and Magatag's booth.
Yep. 3622 for those of you who are going to.
3622 if you want to see and stop by, watch us doing these interviews live. We are kicking the show off, believe it or not, with John Furner and Matthew Shea. They are currently committed. We've got Lowe's CIO coming.
Yep.
Wesley Rhodes of Kroger. Christy Argelon of Albertsons. Rena Hurst of Shipt.
Yes.
And many, many more. That's just to name a few. But we've got one hell of a banger lineup, in my opinion. I can't wait for it.
And we'll be live streaming those, so stay tuned. If you don't already follow OmniTalk Retail on LinkedIn, make sure you go there and you will get notified when we are going live, and you'll get recaps of all those interviews as well. So
and Tim Simmons, the Chief Product Officer of Sam's Club too. Sam's Club, my favorite retailer in the U.S. pretty much. So I can't wait. We're flying out Saturday.
Yes.
Let's get this going. Let's get this trade show circuit started, Ann.
Let's do it.
All right. Today's Fast 5 headlines, Ann, are brought to you with the help and support of our partner, Shoptalk. They're introducing a new component to their 2023 event called Meetup. In a nutshell, they're opening up their networking program to everyone at the show, and they expect to host an incredible, believe it or not, Ann, 50,000 meetings in Las Vegas this March.
If anybody can pull it off, they can.
Oh, for sure. They know how to do this. We hear that's going to require more than 3,000 tables. I love that statistic. And the retail world has never seen anything like it. We'll be there.
Yes.
So come meet with us. You can learn more at shoptalk.com/US/OmniTalk. That's shoptalk.com/US/OmniTalk.
All right.
In today's Fast 5, in this above average show, we've got news on Amazon expanding Buy with Prime to all merchants. Babies R Us coming back to life.
Oh, yeah.
Nestlé launching its first smart fulfillment center in China. A new sip and stroll law that is soon to take effect in Arizona. Can't wait to end the show with that one. But we begin today with what I think is the mark the day down news out of Instagram. And
All right, Chris. Headline number 1. Meta-owned Instagram will remove its shop tab from the homepage navigation bar in February, according to a post on the company's support site. A Meta spokesperson confirmed for Retail Dive that, quote, there will no longer be a dedicated shopping destination. However, people will be able to continue to shop in the moment across feed, reels, stories, explore, and ads, end quote. Instagram also plans to update its navigation bar, placing a content creation button in the center, a move the company said is part of an effort to, quote, make it easier for people to share and connect with their friends and interests, end quote. Chris, you were like knocking down the doors. This is the biggest story ever. Probably headline of 2023 running already. But what are your thoughts about this?
Yes, after week 1, this is the headline of the year, and I'm going to say that right now.
Not surprised there. Neither are the listeners.
Right? Fair play. It's funny because it's true, and it's funny because it's true. Well, I don't see how there's a much bigger story than this, quite honestly. I mean, this is massive to me. It's long surmised. In fact, I hinted at it on the end of the year show, and now it's official. Instagram only wants to be an advertising company and plans to leave all commerce revenue behind. That is absolutely insane to me. It's one of the worst managerial decisions I can think of all time. The experience of Instagram is so built for commerce and actual like e-commerce merchandising, if you get down to it. So it baffles me that they couldn't figure out how to do it or give the effort more than like a 2-year college try. Like that's how long they've been trying to do this. It hasn't been that long.
Right.
So for me, I would go in there every day for the past 2 years, go on that shopping tab, try to get inspired. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much low-hanging fruit here. If they would just unleash it, but they can't. And so now they're cutting everything cold turkey. It's just sad. It's just, to me, it's a pure overreaction. And you question the motivations here in a lot of ways around
what is
the
that,
other distractions that are out there.
What is that low-hanging fruit for you? Like, I'm curious because I don't know that we're in the agreement here on this move from Instagram, but I'm curious. I mean, you have a much richer perspective in merchandising. Like, what is that for you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you're on there so much that it's already captivating your attention. You know, like Carter Jensen used to talk about what apps you use at what times during the day. So you're always in. It's always got your attention. And so from the browse and inspiration perspective, it's super easy to use that as your point of full-scale commerce. So like examples, like you're going to get the things in the feed, which they're talking about. Yeah, but that's a small part. You could go to the shop tab, follow all the brands you like, and if that experience was set up for you to shop and still get inspired in the ways of traditional e-commerce merchandising, which it wasn't and definitely is not now. If you go on the shop tab right now, it's not like that. And so I think there was just a ton of low-hanging fruit there to still figure this out if you put the right resources towards it, the right people towards it, and it's going to take time. Like there's no one knows how to do this in the United States, but there's something there.
So as a consumer, in your mind, what you really want to see is I, as the consumer, am saying I follow all these brands.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the search tab and type in tote bag and like be served up tote bags from my favorite retailers.
Yes, that's an example.
Yes, which you can do right now in the shop tab. I would argue
it's not a great experience though once it lands.
It's still not a great experience, and I think that what is actually interesting, I actually like this move from Instagram.
Wow.
Because I think that it's going to give them time to, as one of my dear friends Jody says, get their poop in a group, okay? They need to figure out, because they're not removing shopping functionality completely, which I think is a big thing. I think people are reading this headline and they're like, oh, shopping's going away. It's not going away. I think they're smartly focusing on, one, making content creation quicker and easier by adding it to the navigation for all the content creators. And then they're going to allow a greater presence for Reels, which ultimately, like, all these algorithms are being fed by the content. And so I think you need to, as Instagram, you need to focus on making that experience for these influencers as simple as possible so that they can keep creating content that's going to get you to be having discovery moments. They can still make money on it. I agree with you. I just don't think Instagram's in a position right now to be a destination where I'm going to shop. And you still have a customer who's not in the mindset of going to Instagram and typing in leather tote bag, search, execute like they are on Amazon or
it's not necessarily about
site.
Search either. I think that's a misnomer too, but But yeah, so you like this move net. You think it's a good retrenchment?
I do. I think it's a good way that's the other problem I have here. Like, people are just saying like it's done, it's gone. Like, this is going to be an evolution. You even said it.
Well, they can always bring the resources back.
Totally.
Yeah.
They did this. It's easy for them to do these changes and figure out like what is the best experience for the customer. And I think the customer is still going to have to rely on influencers to drive traffic. Now, whether or not that's going to be happening inside of Instagram's domain is another thing. And so I think that's where we start to talk about, like, is advertising a better source of revenue right now? Is working with the influencers to make content creation a better function for Instagram right now, so that they can start to develop how we're going to do discovery, how we're going to do shopping on this platform? But Chris.
Yes.
A&M also wants to know, this is the put you on the spot question.
Oh, right in the get-go, huh?
Right here
right
now.
In the beginning?
Yes, we're going to start off in headline number 1 with A&M's put you on the spot question, which is, as has been mentioned on the show before, the shop page on Instagram always fell short of perceived potential, which we were talking about.
Yep.
And it's apparent that Instagram is losing the battle in social commerce. Do you think this move is indicative of problems in the social commerce space overall, or rather is this an Instagram-specific decision to focus less on securing commerce dollars and instead on securing advertising dollars through a better customer experience?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because it gives me the chance to reply to you, and that I still vehemently disagree with you, because I think this is an Instagram-specific decision. Look, I mean, you've talked about TikTok on this show about how they should go after commerce, how they should build fulfillment centers to go after commerce. And so at this point, TikTok, if you look at the landscape, has no competitive threat in this space to go after social commerce. And I'm not going to be surprised if they borrow from their social commerce roots overseas in China to figure that out and to take the U.S. by storm. The whole issue with social commerce, like I mentioned before, is that it's a new idea. The code is still being cracked in the United States. No one knows how to do it, but Instagram is crying uncle, in my opinion, and that's the issue. It's not visionary at all. And in fact, I think that vision is blinded by Oculus goggles from the leadership right now, and it's silly. It's just asinine to me.
Well, I
Final word.
I don't know. I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
That's fine. I love when we do that.
I think this is something that is going to be a critical inflection point in where Instagram takes shopping. And yes, TikTok. I think you're giving TikTok a little bit too much credit too. Like, just because they're exploring this stuff doesn't mean that they've figured it out either. I think this is going to continually be an evolving thing that these platforms are going to have to try to figure out.
I agree. So we're starting out with some above average spiciness, and we're spicy debating. All right. Headline number 1, we got into a debate. All right. Saucy. All right. Headline number 2, Ann. Amazon plans to extend Buy with Prime to all merchants. All. Repeat. All.
Yes, they're offering
ALL. Again, according to Retail Dive, Amazon will expand Buy with Prime to all U.S. merchants by January 31st, allowing Prime members to shop on outside websites using their safe checkout details and accessing Prime benefits like free delivery and returns. You will remember the feature launched last year by invitation only in April. God, it was that long ago. That's crazy. Per a company press release, and to coincide with the launch, Amazon also launched Reviews with Amazon, which gives the same merchants the ability to display ratings and reviews from Amazon customers on their own sites for no additional cost. And I know, knowing you went down a rabbit hole on this one for an interview you did with an Axios reporter.
Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of cool this week.
Yes, Hope King.
Yeah.
Hello.
They knew who to call. Retail influencer, top 100, Axios.
Sure, that's what she searched.
Speed dial. So what's your takeaways here on this?
Okay, so great for customers. Holy cow, is this a great thing if you're a customer shopping across any of the websites on the internet. This is a wonderful thing. You get to have Prime. You get to get packages delivered and returned from retailers. I mean, how many times have you, over the course of the last year even, Chris, been like, oh man, I got to get over the shipping threshold for this brand? Has that happened to you? Or are you ordering so much Adidas that they're just like, Chris Walton, you are the VIP customer of the year. You get free shipping forever.
I hate to admit it, but yes, that's kind of true. Yeah, that actually is true.
I love
But I understand what you're talking about.
I love this for the customers. It's super easy checkout. Also, we have to give a little shout out to our friend Nicole Netland, our former Targeteer, whose team has been leading this effort. So congrats, Nicole, on this big launch. But here's what I talked with Axios about, and what I have a few questions about that I will try to hit Nicole up next time we have happy hour. Here's what I'll be watching. One, I want to see what retailers jump into this. Right. Because for me, This is almost comparable to like Just Walk Out. Like Just Walk Out got Hudson News. That's a major retailer. They're getting, this community grocery store is launched with Amazon Just Walk Out. So who are the retailers that are going to be bringing this on platform and getting in bed with Amazon? And like so far, I was going to say the mix of brands that they're talking about in the press release was like Trophy Skin, Wise, and Hydrolate, which are brands that, are smaller brands, not familiar with them yet.
Quite smaller.
But when are we going to start to see, and are we going to see some of the enterprise brands?
Yeah.
Second
If at all,
question.
right.
Second question I have is, how much will this cost retailers, and does it require retailers to be storing product with Amazon? Because especially when you're talking about smaller retailers, that's a shift to operations. And while it is bringing a 25% increase in basket size, does that pencil when you're looking at all the other operational costs of working with Amazon? And finally, this is actually my biggest question around this.
Biggest question.
What happens?
Save the best for last.
What happens with reviews? Okay, because I want to know. Say if I'm Wise and I don't have a page, I'm not selling on the Amazon Marketplace right now. But somebody is selling my Wise products from a third-party seller on Amazon, and they give a bad review on Amazon. Now those reviews are showing up on my WiseOwnedBrand.com
They might
site.
have something in to prevent that. Who knows?
But they might. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, you're
it's
asking
like
the
we don't
question.
know
You're
this
asking
yet.
the question.
But hypothetically, if I'm a retailer, that's something that I want to be thinking about, because the retailers, as far as it says in the press release and the research that we've seen from CNBC and others, sellers cannot control the reviews that are showing up on their websites. So if there's a negative review because I bought something from a third party, will that show up, and will I be held to having that review from somebody that's not my company selling my product? I'm sure they've got that figured out, if I know Nicole. But
my hunch they do is, and if anyone listening, I know that we have a lot of Amazon fans. If you can give us the info on that, the 411, that'd be great. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have much to add on this one. I think it's a big move. I like the move specifically for this reason. It takes advantage of economies of scale. It's what Amazon does best. They can do it at a relatively low cost. It just gets them more scale into their operation. Your point about Just Walk Out and licensing that is the same thing. That's what Amazon's really good at. They're good at being the backbone for retail, the infrastructure for retail, which is why I think we're seeing the slowdown and the layoffs in physical retail, because they don't get that. They don't have the muscle memory for that.
Right.
But they have the muscle memory for this, and they know how to make that money drop to their bottom line by helping others.
Yes. And I think that's so funny. I also love some of the headlines I was reading and researching this story that were like, well, Amazon's laid off a bunch of people, so now they're launching Buy with Prime. Like, dude, Amazon is so far ahead of us. They've been working on this for 2 years at least. Like, this is, it's hilarious that you think that they're just like, well, let's go back into the workshop and figure this out in 2 weeks.
The BS connections that get made in the media reporting are just so funny. Like, just because this happened in the same week as this, there's a connection, right?
All right, let's go on. All right, Chris, let's move on to headline number 3. Babies R Us is coming back with the opening of a new flagship store on the American Dream Mall. According to fellow Forbes senior contributor Joan Vernon,
shout out to Joan,
at Forbes, WHP Global, which acquired a controlling stake in the Toys R Us brand names and intellectual properties after the bankruptcy and liquidation of the giant toy retailer, earlier this week said it plans to return the brand, which has licensed stores in other countries, to United States shoppers.
Woo!
The first Babies R Us store will be located in the very same American Dream Mall where WHP Global relaunched the Toys R Us brand with its very own flagship Toys R Us store. But that isn't all that is the same either. Yehuda Schmiedemann, chairman of WHP Global, also told Vernon that the first step, he said, will be the opening of a 10,000 square foot Babies R Us flagship at American Dream, followed by the announcement of a national retail partner similar to the partnership Toys R Us has with Macy's.
Oh,
Chris, you were really big on this Babies R Us thing. What's going on?
Yeah, I love this move. I love it. I have no idea where you're going to come down on this, so I can't wait to see if we argue this one too. But I like it so much, Ann, I would even consider coming out of retail operator retirement for this one.
Jeez.
Almost.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is my favorite merchant job ever was when I led the baby department at Target.
It is a fun campaign. I worked on that campaign.
Yeah, you did too. It was so much fun. I loved it. There was a new customer every single day.
Yeah.
And I love that because you have 4 million new people born in the U.S. every single day. So it's awesome. And Babies R Us was a juggernaut at the time. They were the competition. So I think there's still a place for this. They were the market leader. And it's far more than Toys R Us, because I think having a baby is a high consideration event for first-time moms and dads.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, you still want a place where you can go to get help, which is why Bye Bye Baby was talked about being spun off from Bed Bath & Beyond at one point in time.
Possibility,
right? Because it was still a viable business. So I think having a place to go with a large assortment where you can get everything done all at once takes a psychological load off people. And getting ready for a baby is a job that has to be done.
Yes.
That's the last point I would make, which to me is the root of everything that we talk about in retail. What's a job you have to be done? And that's the saddest part of the TRU dissolution, so to speak, and going out of business was that the baby, in this case, Babies R Us, got thrown out with the bathwater. See what I did there, Ann?
Oh, my God.
And that was sad to me. So
pride.
I am so excited that I came up with that analogy and so excited that Babies R Us is coming back.
I can tell. Okay.
But do you agree?
I have come around on this a bit because I think that when I first read it, it was talking about this flagship store, an American Dream. And the first thing I thought of, and maybe some listeners will agree, but like as a new mom, the thought of like having to haul all my crap and my kid and like finding a parking spot at this giant mall
That's a fair
in
point.
a giant space to get like 3 more, bottle nipples that have a wider airflow, like that seems really daunting to me.
It does.
But I think then the other side of me is like, okay, but to your point, like this is an experiential thing. Like if they go like double down on experiential and like really making this a cool space, like they have the stroller track and whatever, like this could be a destination and that makes sense in the American Dream Mall. But what I really want to follow is what this retail partnership is.
Yeah, I was just
because
thinking
I think
the same
that
thing.
is, for me, that is like the clincher here is like, who is this going to be? Is it a grocery store? Is it like a big box retailer?
Yeah.
Like, how are you really going to bring this brand together to make it convenient? Because right now, and when we had kids, we didn't have like Amazon as readily available with as many products as we do, or even Target and Walmart with their curbside pickup like we do. So there's competition here. So I'm curious how they're going to find their place. But yes, I agree. There is a need for a baby destination.
Those are really, really interesting points because they bring up two things I haven't thought about just real quick that I want to bring up, which is one, your point about opening an American Dream Mall is dead right because it's a first-time mom that mom and dad that you're trying to hit here. So this is probably not the right first location for this, and it could actually prove to be a false negative if it doesn't do well. But your point about who's going to open this, it actually makes me think the way they're talking about this, they already potentially have Macy's on the hook for this because Macy's has been sweet. They've been singing the praises about the Toys R Us partnership. And it feels like a perfect fit. Like everything else Macy's been doing goes right along with this. And actually, I would like that move for Macy's because it gets traffic into your store with first-time moms and dads and reintroduces them into your assortment for the long haul. And honestly, it just makes them more like Walmart and Target, which it feels like they're trying to do anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's probably going to be Macy's.
I think it could be. It very well could be. Or Kohl's would be the dark horse, but I don't think Kohl's feels right to me for first-time moms.
All right, we got to move on topics. This is making me depressed.
Is it really? Oh, I'm excited. I love this. I love this show. Okay, well, let's keep it above average, Ann. Let's not get depressed. But before we get to the next headline, Ann and I also want to tell you about a new trade show in our travel plans this year, and that is Commerce Next E-Commerce Grow Show. You can join us at the Commerce Next E-Commerce Grow Show on June 20th and 21st in New York City. We'll be live streaming from the show, and there will also be over 120 industry-leading speakers across more than 50 sessions. Scaled retailers and brands get free admission. Go to commercenext.com/conference and just use VIP code FAST5 to register for your complimentary ticket today. Check out the link in our show notes, too, if you want to learn more.
I'm more excited to go to New York in June than I am this coming weekend. I think the weather might be nicer.
Oh, my God, yes. Oh, my God. There's never been a statement more true in my entire life. All right, headline number 4. Nestlé launches its first smart direct-to-consumer fulfillment center in China with Alibaba's logistics arm, the Cainiao network. According to an Alibaba company blog post, Cainiao supplied 40 AGV robots to replace manual product picking in sorting facilities, which is estimated to quadruple fulfillment center efficiency compared to Nestlé's other warehouses, which utilize human workers only. And that the fulfillment center will, quote, support Nestlé's expansion into the DTC sector, while supporting order fulfillment across all of Nestlé's e-commerce operations in China, including the Starbucks at Home line from the Seattle coffee chain, end quote. And your thoughts on this one?
You know, this one.
You found this
was
story.
kind of a dark horse for the Fast Five this week, but I thought it was important because I think that we need to look at, as we've seen more brands, you know, offering direct-to-consumer fulfillment options, a la General Mills, like we talked to Carter Jensen again about back at Grocery Shop. We have to know that, you know, that's going to require fulfillment centers and operations to change the way that they've been working for years. It can't just be, you know, sending giant pallets to their biggest retailers. They've got to be thinking about how to execute on these smaller one-to-one orders. And so I think that it's good for us to start paying attention to what Nestlé is doing with this move and how they're leveraging these robots. We talked last week too about Super Duper, and these are the same type of robots. The video is pretty cool because right now everything's manually picked, like going in, grabbing something out of a giant pallet. But these robots are like moving around and making this idea of a large brand's fulfillment center to be like much
smaller in size.
Microed. I just made up that word. Microed,
also
condensed. but it is really cool to see how they're thinking differently and the tools and the robotics that they're using to make this happen. So I think this is really cool to stay on top of. Go check out the video.
It is YouTube. Pretty neat. I mean, for me, my quick take on this is, you know, you've got the biggest CPG in the world.
Yep.
In the biggest market in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Saying direct-to-consumer is important.
Yep.
And I think that in itself makes this a big news.
Yep.
But the implications or the questions I have around it are, where does it go next? And that's the important thing here is, how does this extend Nestlé's reach? Does it mean, so my questions are, does it mean Nestlé can flex its e-commerce operation better across marketplaces like DoorDash and Instacart in the long run?
Right.
2, does it mean they can flex it better via dropship on smaller retailers or grocers' e-commerce websites or even convenience stores?
Yep.
And then 3rd, does it mean that Nestlé can sell directly to consumers better off its own site?
Which I think is the intent, I imagine.
I think if Nestlé's smart, they're looking at all 3 of these because there's not going to be, because my last question, as interesting as the last one is to me, it's not as important in the long run as the other 2, because you still have the question of how you're getting traffic to the Nestlé site relative to the other places where Nestlé sells its products. But the option value alone on all 3 of those is enough for me to want to watch how this unfolds going forward. So
they're not selling them on Instagram shopping.
Well, they could though, Ann. That's the thing. That's how this goes, right? I mean, nice dig, but yeah, I mean that's the point, right? Like, yes, you could, and Facebook could get the advertising revenue from that.
That's right.
As opposed to the sales commission.
All the things. All right, let's go to headline number 5, Chris. A new sip and stroll law is set to take effect this week at Arizona shopping centers. Shout out to Najla Kayam, one of the listeners of the show. I wonder if she was involved in this because I know she's very involved in the Arizona Shopping District Center, and I would love to walk around and sip and stroll with Najla sometime.
Yeah.
But according to Chain Store Age, beginning today, January 12th, shopping centers with at least 400,000 square feet of gross leasing area will be able to obtain licenses that allow customers to leave bars and restaurants and explore the properties with everything from pints to pina coladas in hand. Desert Ridge and Tempe Marketplace, you know those places?
Shout out. Yeah, dude, I grew up like 2 miles from Tempe Marketplace.
I know. Were you lobbying for this law to go through? We'll find out. I
might have had some influence.
All right.
Indirectly.
Both of those facilities are owned and operated by Vestar, who will be the first to implement the new law. And for context, Desert Ridge is also the most visited shopping center in Arizona.
Yeah, that's huge.
Tenants there include Kohl's, AMC Theaters, Dave & Buster's, H&M, Barnes & Noble, Ross, and Old Navy. And even more than that,
the
Chris.
Normal cast of characters.
Was that where you hung out? Was Desert Ridge?
No, Desert Ridge is new. That wasn't there when I was there.
But actually,
the Tempe Marketplace is new too. I was hanging out at Fiesta Mall, which is completely abandoned and still exists. It's like sitting in Mesa. It's a huge mall and just nothing is going on there. It's just totally
imagine
abandoned.
Like crumbling paint from like an adobe structure.
That is what it is. It's terrible. Like I don't know when they're going to redevelop it. I think the plans to redevelop it are coming soon. But yeah, no, I mean, like shout out to my home state of Arizona for being, they've got their priorities in order on this one, Ann.
Okay.
For the first time. A lot of time, you could ask a lot of questions about Arizona. But, on the one hand, okay, here's my thoughts on this. On the one hand, I love this because it gives the operators and the retailers an answer to the question of why come to my physical place to shop.
Without a doubt.
Right? Why come to a location to begin with, which is always an important question. Mm-hmm. Being able to shop with a glass of wine hand or a beer has long been a dream of mine, and I'm guessing countless other moms particularly as well. But on the other hand, I do worry about some of the operational consequences of this. So, for example, things that came to mind for me would be You're going to have a lot more spillage. So you're going to have a lot of more product that gets ruined. And the other part to me that I think is interesting in this is from a staffing perspective, it's going to require a new task for the retailers. They're going to have to watch whether or not they want to allow very drunk people into their store to shop, which you already know the staffing pressures. You already know the training pressures. That's a thing that I don't know that many retailers are going to want to take on. So I'm guessing the mall operator in this case is going to have to lean pretty heavily into that for this to work. And net, it could come out on top. But there's just concerns that I have thinking about it. Don't know that I wouldn't do it. I think it's a cool idea. It's worth trying, especially at the early stages that it is now. But those are my thoughts.
I think your worst case scenario planning, which is not a bad thing. Definitely there are going to be some situations. But I mean, Chris, one, look at Vegas and New Orleans. Like this is already a thing happening. Like there's ways to make this happen successfully. So I think that it can be, all the things you're talking about can be solved. The drunk people, like, I don't know, you've got restaurants in every mall in the country right now where people could be getting drunk in the restaurant and then traveling through, and you have the same mall security that handles those issues, or people could be coming from home. I think there's some extremes, but I do love this with the right safety precautions in place. And I think it could be really good for the retailers. Like I've made plenty of purchase that I wasn't planning on after, a store has invited me in and given me a glass of wine to drink while I'm shopping.
Yeah.
Like, you get more excited about the experience. My husband certainly will be coming along with me if we're ever shopping in Arizona, which I think,
a good point.
Again, to your earlier point, like brings up this now as a destination. Like this is a place where, yes, on a date night, like my husband and I now would be going to that together versus before when he would be like, I want nothing to do with your shopping trips.
Yeah.
No way. But now if he can have a beer and like hang out and it can be more of a social experience, I think this could be bringing more people to the mall.
Sit on the sofa in the Name Your Apparel brand store with a beer while you try on clothes, and he gives you his opinion. Yeah, right. I think it's real. I think what Vegas you're saying is real.
I think Vegas is such a great analog for that because they do it so well. Like they have TVs set up playing a golf tournament so that my husband can sit there and drink a bourbon and watch a golf tournament while I'm shopping for something.
I think it is. The only point I'd make about Vegas, and then we'll close out the show, is like Vegas is everyone's in a different mindset, number one, psychologically. And two, the margin structure of the casino works differently than the margin structure of the mall operator and the retailer. So I think that affords them more ability to put in place some of the guardrails here to make this successful. That's the only thing I'll say. But I still think I love it. I would test it. I'm curious to see what it is. And net, I think the things you're talking about are very promising.
But in this case, the operators can also get the licenses so they can be getting the revenue from selling beer and wine too. That was part of this as well, which I think is that also plays into this angle, too, where there's benefits here for them to make
high
this
margin category.
40%,
alcohol and beer. Oh God, I don't even know.
Like
probably even higher.
That?
Liquor is probably even better. I don't know off the top of my head.
All right, Chris.
All right, let's do this. Let's close out this above average show.
Netflix will exclusively air this year's 2024's Screen Actors Guild Awards show in its first partnership with an awards show and its next step into live broadcasting. Chris, what actor do you think should win an award via Netflix live stream in February?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, so if I assume they were going to live stream this year, I'd actually go with the guy that won the Golden Globe, Colin Farrell. I think Colin Farrell's
Is that what's the Banshees of
Banshees of Inisherin? Yes, Anne.
Did you see that?
I've seen half of it. I need to finish it. I unfortunately had to something come up.
Colin, it was so good. He saw half the movie.
But no, it was so good. And no, I watched The Recruit again, which came out in like 2003 with Colin Farrell and Bridget Moynihan. Yeah. He was so good in that. So Al Pacino was terrible, but he was so good.
Oh my
He
God.
is so underappreciated as an actor. Honestly, he's really good.
Okay. I don't understand how you find your movie selections on the weekend. It's very puzzling to me, but that's what Netflix algorithm is for.
Yeah, right. Well, no, this is on cable, and I'm still on cable. That's why. All right, PepsiCo brands plans to extend its iconic brands Doritos and Cheetos into new categories like pretzels, crackers, and beef jerky. How much would nacho cheese beef jerky wet your whistle, Anne?
Oh, gross. Not beef
so
jerky,
disgusting.
but Cheeto or Dorito pretzels and crackers, bring them on.
That sounds awesome. Good
so
point.
good. I have another PepsiCo question for you in the
all
next
right,
question.
2 in a row.
The brand has debuted a lemon lime Sprite competitor that they believe will help increase their favor with a younger Gen Z audience that they're calling Starry. Not sure what at all makes this different from Sierra Mist, but I digress. What was your favorite go-to soda as a young lad?
Well, OmniTalk fans might not know this, Ann. I don't even know you know this, but I only started drinking caffeine in like 2013.
Okay.
And so I never had it as a kid. So my go-to soda was actually 7-Up. The Uncola, Ann.
The Uncola.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. 7-Up is a trusty
I
drink.
wish 7-Up would make a comeback. It just doesn't seem like it's
Actually,
going to.
you know what I was just reading this week? Dr. Pepper is like the
My kids
strongest
love
cola
Dr.
of
Pepper.
all the cola brands.
Yeah.
And it can be sold in places that sell Pepsi products or Coke products because it's like...
Right. It's like the third party.
I feel like that's the Uncola.
Yeah, it kind of is the Uncola.
Yeah.
It's the cola that's like a different cola. All right, enough. All right, Kohler. Speaking of colas, let's go to Kohler. Kohler recently released a new smart toilet, the Numi 2.0, currently priced at, believe it or not, $8,650, and that's a discount from its $11,000 list price. I went on the website yesterday to look at it. Which of the following features would you want in your toilet the most? A, all these are real. Ambient colored lighting, B, a built-in audio speaker system, or C, hands-free opening and closing.
Well, I'm surprised, especially after I was in California. We had a bidet in California.
Oh, those are nice. Was it a good one?
Yeah, it was like an electric one.
Those
oh
are
my
nice.
God. Why
Yeah.
isn't that in here? I want that. But if I have to pick,
it may be.
if I have to pick of all these
out.
things, I definitely want hands-free opening and closing and flushing. Like I just want a thing to be like, I wave my hand and there you are.
You do. You want it like the airport toilet, basically.
Especially the seat down and lid down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I live with 3 boys.
Yeah. It should have image recognition, actually, to be able to see.
That would be wonderful.
But that little can of worms there. All right. That closes us up. Happy birthday today to Mary J. Blige, the man who would certainly make my wife unfaithful to me, Olivier Martinez. And for all you Seinfeld fans out there, the woman who gave us Schmoopy, Alexandra Wentworth. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk. Our Fast 5 podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news, and our twice-weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and it comes with special content that is exclusive to us, and we do it just for you, and we try really hard to make it all fit in the preview pane of your inbox. You can sign up today at www.omnitalk.blog. Thanks, as always, for listening in. Thanks for sticking with me as I try to get through this read. But please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. So until next week, and on behalf of all of us at OmniTalk, be careful out there.
The OmniTalk Fast 5 is brought to you in association with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Firework. Firework is the largest video commerce solution built for the world's leading brands. They empower brands with shoppable and live stream video on their own websites where people like to shop. Put your commerce in motion with Firework. Find out more at firework.com. And Trigo. Trigo Tech powers grocery stores with market-leading frictionless checkout and digitized operations. To learn more, visit trigoretail.com. And Sezzle. Sezzle is an innovative buy now, pay later solution that allows shoppers to split purchases into 4 interest-free payments over 6 weeks. To learn more, visit Sezzle.com. And finally, Silk. The Silk Cloud DB virtualization platform is a virtualization layer between your workloads and the cloud. Helps you scale your cloud without scaling your costs. Visit silk.us to learn more.